everyone. Welcome to Faith to Believe. It is so great to come back into your home or wherever you might be watching this broadcast. Wow, I tell you what, it's always good to come back and see you and to speak to you about the great things that are going on in our community right here in Monroe, West Monroe, and wherever you're watching in all the surrounding parishes. This is a great day and this is a great broadcast. So I thank you for tuning in. And I thank you when I see you out in the community and you tell me that you're watching the broadcast and how much you're receiving from it. We thank you. You do just that. Continue to watch because we're going to continue to bring you information that I know is going to be beneficial to you, your family, and to this community. Well, today I have none other than my friend, Dr. Montague Sizer, the Executive Director of the Northeast Delta Human Services Authority, that is here with us today. And he is no stranger to the television. You're no stranger to this broadcast. And it's always great to have you here because we know you've got some great things that you're doing in the community. And some great things that you're doing. And I know you're going to share those things with us because I just love having you on because it just gives us all the great things that's happening with the people and what's going on in this community. And so let me introduce Northeast Delta Human Services Authority, and then we're going to talk about what's getting ready to take place in our community. Well, Northeast Delta Human Services Authority manages community-based services for individuals that are diagnosed with major mental illness, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders. Northeast Delta Human Service Authority is devoted to deliver programs and services that encourage people to reach their true potential, and that's what I really like about Northeast Delta and you, Dr. Sizer, because you really have a heart for the people and want those that are dealing with addictive disorder, mental disabilities, to reach their full potential, even though they're going through something in their lives. And there's so much more that I can say about the Northeast Delta, but we'll talk about that in our conversation. You serve a lot of different parishes, and I like that as well because when I'm in East Carroll and Madison and Richland, and I mention your name, then they know who Northeast Delta Human Service Authority is. And so I'm glad about that because that means that you are a community base, that you spread out in all these parishes to provide services. So I'm going to be quiet and let you just tell us a little bit more about what's taking place and what's happening now.
Well, certainly it's always good to be back, Dr. Hunt, to be on your program and to engage your audience. It is awesome to hear that when you're out and about, that people recognize the name. And not only do I hope that they recognize the name, I hope they see value in that name. Because as you alluded to, we want them to be able to live out their God-given talents and abilities.
Yes.
And so it's our job to provide that opportunity so that they can do that. And so if a person is dealing with a mental illness or a developmental disability or any type of addiction, it is our responsibility to help them help themselves. And if that means quality service, then we are to provide it. If that means a contact with someone, we are to provide it. If it means an encouraging word, we are to provide it.
Yes.
And we ought to do it in a way that's innovative to truly meet their needs, because we recognize that traditional government services don't work.
That's right.
If they worked, we would see a much better outcome, not only in this region, but in this state, and in this nation, and in this world. And all you have to do is look around and see if government, in the way in which it's currently constituted, is actually meeting the needs of its people.
Yes.
I will submit to you that it is not. And it's no fault of government alone. It's more of a fault of not being able to see and truly understand the needs of its people and then do things in innovative ways in which to reach them.
Yes.
And so what I'm proud of at Northeast Delta Human Services Authority is that we're trying to really understand the people and the people's needs and trying to use the resources that we've been blessed with to be able to meet those needs in innovative, creative ways. And therefore, we have created many, many initiatives and programs, many of you of which you have been involved in.
Yes.
We have done like 4 or 5 faith summits already. And this particular faith initiative that we'll talk a little bit more about is designed to go more in depth and truly help congregations and the church leaders truly understand how to create internal congregational capacity to meet needs internal and also be able to know how to outreach and reach people in communities that's not part of their congregations.
Yes.
And so it's important for us to be able to do that.
Well, like I said, there's so many programs that come through that you are over at the Northeast Delta Human Service Authority. And I know one of those programs is the Life Skills Program. We're going to go back to the faith base, but the Life Skills Program. I had just today, while I was sitting there trying to grab a little bite to eat before coming over to the station, for them to call me at a school to say, hey, look, what are we doing for, this is Bullying Month, October, and Red Ribbon Month. And so we're now teaching bullying in the school. We've got facilitators out in the schools right now in Wasman and Burke Jones Lane and some of the other schools that comes directly under your department. So a lot of times people don't understand that you've got people out in these schools. You've got people out teaching in the classrooms and being an assistant to the teachers. When I was in Tallulah just last week, we had 5 facilitators in that one school. We were having a ball going in and out of the classrooms, teaching on bullying and some of the things that we wanted the children to understand about it, being that this is National Bullying Month. And just to get the feedback. Like I said, the phone call that came in today, what are you all doing, when you get in school on Thursday? We'll be in that school on this Thursday. And I thought about that. And I thought about how great it is to have that as one of the programs that you are sponsoring under your department, that Life Skills Program, where we can go in and actually teach them just what the word says, life skills.
Life skills. And if you can prevent a problem, then we don't have to treat it.
Yes.
And so a part of what we do is make sure that we intervene in ways that will not make us needed.
Yeah.
And this is what I really want your audience to understand, and that serving a lot of people is not our goal.
Yes.
Our goal really is to not be needed. And that means that communities are more stable. They're stable in their minds. They're stable in their bodies.
Yes.
They're stable in their homes. They have jobs. They have good health care. And if they have those things along with their faith, then they can function independently of government.
Yes.
And that's what we ultimately want. But in the meantime, we recognize that there are a lot of challenges.
Yes.
And as a consequence, then, our goal is to be that bridge for those in communities and those who have needs until such time they can become more self-sufficient and not need us as much. And so prevention is one of those things that allows us to equip communities and the community's people in such a way that they don't go down the road of having a mental illness or addiction or any other negative life choice that they may make that cause a negative consequence.
Yes, when we first started, you had us to start the faith-based summits, and so many ministers came to those summits on those Saturdays that were set, and we had an opportunity to talk about mental illness.
Sure.
Before then, people didn't want to mention that name.
Sure.
They didn't want to, if you say mental illness, they run from it, but you now have had the opportunity to introduce so many ministers in this area, and I know even through the summits that took place in Ruston as well, that now the word is not so much of when they hear it, they want to run from it, but how can I run to it? And that's what we want ministers to do. We want them to say, no, we're not running away from it.
Right.
We're running to it. We're running to be a part. What is our part? What can we do to help? Because when people hear that word, not in the homes, the congregation, like I said, they run from it.
And what I say to that is we just want the pastoral leaders to be salt. If they're salt, then we know that they're having an impact. But all you have to do, pastors and congregations, is to look around. And if you see devastation, if you see destruction, the question is why? And more importantly, how do we mitigate what we see and that we have been called to address? And I believe that there are summits, I believe that there are curriculum and innovative programs that we've talked about will allow us just to do that. Because if we continue to do what we've always done, we'll get what we always have. And I think that there's a greater commission and mandate on us today to do something different so that the people can realize their God-given talents and abilities. Because when you have a healthier community, when you have a healthier congregation, and you have a healthier man or woman of God, we could do more for the kingdom than we can sick and shut in.
Yes, and you know, we found out through those summits that many times even the pastors are dealing with stress and things that's going on in their lives. And we had an opportunity to address some of those things. And you just said, when the pastor is healthy
Right.
and has this information, then once again he can better serve his congregation.
That's right. And I know that, that there's a challenge when it comes to acknowledging a problem. Pastors, historically, they want to be the pillar of strength and health and wholesomeness.
Yes.
But that's a lot of pressure for pastors to put on themselves because we know
Yes.
what the challenge is. We know the struggle. We know the stress. We know the burnout. We know the physical toll that leading people or shepherding people takes. It's a significant calling. It's a significant task. It's a significant challenge. And oftentimes we do more giving than we self-help.
Yes.
We do more giving than we allow others to know when we're hurting.
Yes.
We do more giving to the point to where it hurts. And then when we don't have enough in our tanks, who do we turn to?
Yes.
And as you know what the research says, you can count on one hand the number of friends or social relationships that are quality that a head pastor would say they have.
Yes.
Many of them say that they would change professions overnight if they had a decent alternative.
Well, you know,
What does
Dr.
that say?
Sizer, I just know even right now by the Spirit, just in what you're saying, that there are some pastors right now that's watching. They're excited to know and to hear what you're saying
Right.
because they suffer in silence.
Yes.
Those are your words. They suffer in silence.
Right.
And I know there are many that are watching that they're glad that you're saying that what you're saying because it's helping them to understand somebody recognizes that we go through these things
Yes.
and that we experience these things and that we are suffering in silence.
Right.
And that's why this summit that's coming up is going to be so great for the many, many that are going to come. A lot of information I know is going to be shared through you by that. So let me get those dates and that information
Sure.
right now,
Okay.
and we'll begin to talk about that. It's the Faith Partnership Readiness Training, which is going to be held Thursday, October the 25th, starting at 9 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. at the Walk in the Word Church, 1200 Stubbs Avenue. There's no cost or anything. You want to be there. Ministers, pastors, those that labor within the church, you want to be there. You want to come to this Faith Partnership Readiness Training. Those that Dr. Sizer has sponsored before, people walked away with so much information, and it started the dialogue.
Started the dialogue.
It started the dialogue of these pastors understanding. We understand what you're going through. We understand because we have. I know you are not. I know you, executive director over the Northeast Delta Human Services Authority, Dr. Sizer. But I know that you're a man of God.
Sure.
I know that you also have a call, and we separate those two.
Sure.
So right now we're talking about these things, but you do have an understanding, and I want persons to know that you're not only talking from that professional perspective and everything, but you have an understanding as well because of what you're called to do. And you started the dialogue, and when you started that dialogue, so many have come and found out what was going on. So I am just overly excited about this one and what's going to take place. Begin to tell us something about it.
You know, the other thing I want to add, Dr. Hunt, is this. I've had many people to stop me out in the community. And these were members of congregations. And they said, well, you know, Sizer, I didn't know how much pressure, undeserved, that I've placed on my own pastor.
Wow.
And I'm going to repent because I didn't know what I was doing and what they were going through.
Yes.
And so what we're saying is that understanding helps everybody,
Yes, it does.
including the man and woman of God. And so it's also allows them to not pretend, because members of congregations are not looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. They're looking for realness. They're looking for, if I fall down, can I get back up And will the members in which I serve see me as, yes, called, but yet human?
Yes.
And if you can reach your people in that way, not only are you an example, but you become a testimony to how you can get knocked down and how you can get back up. So it's not about finding weakness in leadership. To acknowledge your problem, men and women of God, shows how strong you are. And again, your members are not looking for you to be perfect. They're looking for you to be real. They're looking for you to be transparent. They're looking for you to be authentic. And so this particular initiative, Faith Partnership Initiative, is a follow-up to the 5 summits we've already had.
Yes.
It's a deeper dive into all those materials that we've talked about in all the societal issues. Because again, the ultimate desire is for us to have enough capacity regionally to be able to address the social ills that we see. We see crime, we see violence, we see poor educational opportunities,
Yes.
we see addiction, we see mental health. But what do we do about it collectively?
Other than just see it.
Other than see it
Yeah.
and say what we should be doing. Because as I said, Dr.
Yeah.
Hunt,
Yeah.
government can't do it at all.
No, they cannot.
And so we need equipped other parts of society, like faith, like the business community, to step up and step in to work with us to help us solve a problem.
And we're in positions of authority speaking to people every week.
Every week.
Every week. And we're supposed to not only deal with their spiritual part,
Right.
but we're 3 parts: spirit, mind, and body.
And body.
And we want to be able to address all of those issues. Just this past Sunday, Dr. Sizer, I know that this month is Breast Cancer Month. So just this past Sunday, we had our health ministry to stand and take those minutes. We give them 15 to 20 minutes. And they stood and they talked about Breast Cancer Month. And we had information for them and material and where they could go and what they can receive. That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking
Addressing the issues and not just talking about them. Not just talking about Psalm 23, but at the same time telling them where they can go and get help if they feel suicidal, if they have a mental disorder, an addiction, if they're addicted to alcohol or even cigarettes or whatever they may be addicted to.
That's right.
Where can I get this help? The church needs to address these things.
That's right.
And so this is some of the things that we'll be talking about at this faith-based initiative.
Yeah, and the good thing to say about this is not a one event situation. We will do this over multiple periods of time
Great.
so that we can be ensured that there's enough capacity within congregations.
Yes.
And so we will be supporting that capacity. We will have our prevention programs involved in churches, providing information, providing leaflets and things like that.
Yes.
We'll have our clinical staff involved with churches, or churches can make proper referrals for treatment for both mental illness and or addiction services, and the like.
Yes.
We have a set of primary health care relationships, so if people need that, then they can contact our office and we can put them in contact with folks who can deal with their bodies, their vision, and the like, because these things go hand in hand. And so we are excited about this opportunity because it's truly about equipping. It's not about somebody's theology or what somebody believes. That's not what we're talking about. But what we are talking about, however, deals with how you treat a person with a sin issue, a spirit issue, and a biochemical problem.
Yes.
These things can coexist at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. And so pastors, congregations, if you've got somebody with schizophrenia, it is possible, and I know that it's a reality, that God can heal. He can do it just like that. But God also works through people with talents, gifts, and abilities to deal with a biochemical process such as schizophrenia.
Yes.
And so the olive oil or the virgin oil that you have may not be sufficient
That's right.
for that person at that time. So now what do you do when that person is talking out of their heads? You're going to call 911.
Yeah.
You're going to call your armor bearers, or you're going to call others to try to restrain. Is that the proper way to deal with a schizophrenic that's having an episode in your churches on Sunday? It may not be.
No.
It could create a problem. So understanding what mental illness is critically important. And these programs and these initiatives that we have will discern and dissect what's mental illness, what mental illness is not, what's addiction, what addiction is not, what's not necessarily what's sin, but that's for faith leaders to do
Yes.
in their congregations and from their pulpits, or what ails the person from a spiritual standpoint. That's to be done from one's pulpit and one's community. We're not trying to involve or interfere with that.
Yes.
We're saying that there's another component to all of that we want to put on the table, like the biochemical processes, things that people go through, where to get resources, how to get help, how to prevent it, how to treat it, whether it's inpatient, whether it's outpatient. That's our role.
Yes.
It's the faith community's role to do what they do and what they've been gifted to do every Sunday or every Tuesday, every Wednesday, or whenever
Yes.
time.
Yes. Pastors, look, you want to come to this. Once again, the date is October the 25th. That's on a Thursday from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock at 1201 Stubbs Avenue. You want to come and get this information because just as Dr. Sizer just said, we want to be able to minister to the whole person, to whatever the need is in our congregation. If not, then it's almost like we're crippled. You know, we're only ministering to one part. But as he said, you got someone sitting there that has schizophrenia, but yet all we can do is call 911. Why? Because we have not gathered the information, received the information, and then began to know what we need to do in those situations, know who we can call so that that person can get the help that they need. If a person comes in and they need to be saved, we know we're going to pray for them. That's giving them the help that they need. But if they're schizophrenia, the prayer will give God heals, but at the same time, as Dr. Sizer said, we need to know what to do, who to call, so that we can get help for that person. I love the name of this, Dr. Sizer says, Faith Partnership Readiness Training. That just all of a sudden, when that word just then just popped out at me, readiness. Are you ready to handle the things in your congregation? Are you ready? I mean, if someone needs prayer, we're ready to handle that.
We're ready to handle prayer.
If someone's sick, you know, and they just got a little natural sickness or cold, we're pretty much ready to handle that. We know how to pray for the prayer of faith to heal the sick. But what if we've got someone in our congregation with mental illness, they're addicted to something, you know, like you're saying, we need to know, we need to be ready to handle those problems. And I know with the opioid crisis that we're having, I know you're going to be probably talking about something about that. I was going to leave that for a subject totally by itself. But in the opioid crisis and things of that nature, our churches need to be equipped. We need to be trained. And so that's why I love what it says here, faith partnership. They're joining in partnership. Dr. Sizer wants to join in partnership with you, readiness training, so that our churches will be equipped to handle the problems that really are in the church. We didn't just say all of those is out in the community,
That's
Dr.
right.
Sizer. These problems are already in the church.
They're in the church.
So we want you to be ready and trained. And now I'll hear right now, Dr. Sizer, one or two pastors saying, but I'm already so busy. I'm already overloaded. You come and get the information. Bring somebody with you. If there's a nurse in your church, someone that's working in that area, there may just be a lay person sitting there saying, you know, I really want to help in the church. Bring them with you so they can get the information, get trained in the information, and then they will know how to assist that pastor in serving the congregation.
Yeah, so it's like this. This is not a set-aside. This is an essential tool if you're going to stand before God's people.
Yes.
You have to be ready and equipped to deal with everything that comes through the door.
Yes.
And so this is another one of those equippings. This is another instrument to be used to help yourself, your family, and the members of your congregation. Because let me just tell you that it's in the Word.
Yes.
What did Judas do? He committed suicide.
Yes, he did.
And the same things that Judas did, those telltale signs, are the same telltale signs that clinicians use to identify when somebody is about to,
Yes.
or when somebody did do that.
Yes.
And so this is a part of understanding, because again, life is real. What life throws at us, we have to deal with. And knowing how to properly deal with it, assess it, and refer it, or treat it internally, you have to be able to do.
Yes.
And so this is not a set aside. This is allows one to be effective if what it is they believe they have been called to do. So if you want to be successful, if you want to be effective at what you do, then I suggest that come or send someone to get the information, to go back and know how to be able to use this information to further equip and deal with issues that's in your church and outside of it.
Once again, that date is Thursday, October the 25th, starting at 9 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m., 1201 Stubbs Avenue. Come on out, pastors. We are calling you. We're calling you to come. Ministers of the churches in this area, Monroe, West Monroe, throughout all the other parishes. I know you're watching us down in Lake Providence and Tallulah and all those places, Ruston, Delhi. We're calling you to come. It doesn't charge you anything. It doesn't cost you anything. Come and get the information so that you can empower your church and that you will have the information that you need for your church for the those in the congregation to receive all the information that they need, because you do not know what's sitting out there. Besides, we've had people sitting out there that said, look, if I hadn't come today, I was ready to go and take my life.
Right.
We've had that to happen.
That's
but
right.
now that I got the information, I know how to say, wait a minute, I'm going to pray for you, but I know where to send you to
That's
get
right.
some help.
That's
You
right.
know, and to recognize the mental illness when persons talk to you, so that we don't feel like we have to diagnose everything with the word. See, there are some things that we can't just diagnose with prayer. We were going to pray for them, but there are some issues that we've got to refer them to the right place so they can get help.
Right, because you know it's like this. If you talk to a man and woman of God and you say they have a heart problem or condition, what do? They don't say just pray for me. They say pray for me, and they're going to see their cardiologist.
They're going to see their cardiologist.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Sides, we're coming back. I see we only have just a few minutes. I love talking to him about this, because I'm telling you, when you get this information, you feel more equipped to really handle those things that go on in your church and to be a better pastor even for your people. Well, once again, we're coming back. We're going to talk a little bit more. You do not want to miss Thursday. That date, once again, that date is Thursday, October the 25th, starting at 9 o'clock a.m. at 1201 Stubbs Avenue. Come and get the information. We'll be looking for you, and you're going to be glad that you did. God bless you today. And Dr. Sizer, you're coming back to be with us. We've got another set that we're going to come back. God bless you. We'll see you the next time right here on Faith to Believe.